according to them, I never lost consciousness, but I just don't remember a thing. So I have this spider web fracture pattern, but my skull is closed still. My skull didn't like pop open; it's just damaged. Okay. So I'm bleeding internally. I have a subdural hematoma happening, and there's only so much room inside of the skull. And when you add fluid, it builds pressure. Once you hit a certain pressure number, you're killing brain cells. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to that number, that threshold, surgery is to drill 3 holes through your skull and put in drain tubes to allow the pressure out because your brain is swelling and there's fluid. So I have holes and drainage tubes, and surgery is a success, and I am in the recovery room, but I won't wake up.
I'm Billy Ryan, and this is the No One Is Watching podcast, where we explore high-performing teams, individuals, and leaders, and dig deep to find out what makes them tick. This show highlights the DNA shared by elite performers, the process by which they leverage that talent, and ultimately helps you apply those lessons to your own life, business, or team. So everybody has that welcome to the big leagues moment. Mm-hmm. What was it for you?
My debut, that all went just about as perfect as it can go, right? I mean, I got the call the day before, fly through the afternoon and night. I'm going from Salt Lake City up to Milwaukee. And, it's a funny deal because you never know when that call is going to come. You get that first one and you've waited your whole life for it. And as it works out, my phone it fell off the bed. It's ringing on the floor. I'm asleep. Then finally the door starts getting banged on and it's Phil Nevin. And it's like, hey, why aren't you answering your phone? So I thought I was in trouble. And then it's like, you need to get packed. You need to get going. Get up there, do your job, don't talk. He's just looking out for me.
That sounds like Nev.
Yeah, one of the all-time best. And so I also had broken a tooth in half the day before.
Awesome.
So I'm supposed to be in the dentist chair the next morning. Fly through the night, get to Milwaukee at like 3 a.m. I'm in their dentist chair at 9 a.m. Pulls a tooth, numb face, straight to the field, show up slurring my words and spitting everywhere. And luckily I knew everybody from camp and stuff. But So I get there, my family, everybody arrives right at first pitch, say quick little wave and go out to the pen. And then just as it works out, they said, we're going to use you in a positive role. And I get up there and it's like the 6th inning with 2 guys on and it's a 1-run game. And Coleman was throwing and Gibson calls, gets me hot. Carlos Gomez is who they want me to face. And it's like, I watched this guy bat flip off my buddy yesterday and hit the ball a mile. It was peak Carlos Gomez, angry Carlos Gomez bat flipping. And so I'm in the game and I'm just, fastball 95, like curveball 95. Like it didn't matter. It was just, it was coming.
Just pure adrenaline.
And so I get in there and I'm facing Carlos Gomez and foul ball, ground out. Okay, so I'm out of the inning. We're losing by 1 or 2. I go back out, strike out Scooter Gennett, strike out Jonathan Lucroy, and then Aramis Ramirez hits a little tapper back to me. So that was cool. Facing Aramis Ramirez, I think that was his last year playing. So I go 1 1/3 scoreless with a couple strikeouts. I come in from the 7th inning, and Chris Owings hits a 3-run homer. And that's his first career homer. So, I should be down inside doing arm care and lifting and getting ready. And I am at the top step of the dugout. Just everyone's kind of looking like, all right, well, this is your first one. So we'll cut you some extra break here. Act like you've been here before. And I'm like, I haven't been here before.
I have never been here before.
Yeah. So he hits the homer. Ziegler gets a hold. Addison Reed gets a save. And, so I get the win in my debut, Chris Owings' first career homer, a group beer shower, which was a blast. you and your boys. Arizona was great because those were all the guys I came up with, and we all got there around the same time. So all the girlfriends and the wives and everybody was close already, and it was great. He was one of my best friends at the time, in baseball, and hit that home run to give me my first win. That was kind of my welcome to the big leagues moment. You think you're nervous watching a game in AAA, and it just has it doesn't even come close to comparing. So welcome to the big leagues was, just a May baseball game and a numb face.
Yeah, well, you know what, man? That's like it's not a storybook for you, right? With the on the field stuff. But when you draw it up from like a player development standpoint, and even in the big leagues, it's like that's exactly what you want. You didn't know it was coming. You got like a tooth going on, so you're distracted, so you can't totally just sit there and dwell on it. You're flying overnight. It's like there's too much going on where you can't really just sit there and think about it. And then you go out and you have a good outing, and your buddy hits a homer. I mean, it's perfect.
It absolutely was, and as a franchise, that was May, but you could tell like we're not going to compete in the West. We're facing Hanley Ramirez in LA and Panda and Pence and Posey in San Francisco. And so you're
remind me, what year was your debut?
14.
Okay.
Yeah. So even year for the Giants, right? Even year for the Giants, we're a 100 loss team.
Yeah.
But we've always played hard. That was the Kirk Gibson way. I mean, him and Trammell, it was, we're going to fight before we give up. And so I still talk to Gibby. He's doing great up in Detroit. And I still
he's the best.
Trammell. Yeah. And so, welcome to the big leagues, numb face, get a win. Just sort of an all whirlwind, and then I'm staying at the Pfister, where it's haunted. And I'm
haunted hotel.
Stories. Yeah.
First big league hotel's haunted. Absolutely. Congratulations.
And what was hilarious was guys on the team, like Wade Miley, was susceptible to the threat of a ghost in the hotel.
I think he probably still is.
Yeah. And so, I just remember like AJ Pollock and like putting a Beats pill speaker under his bed because he would keep the conjoining doors open just in case, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, you hit play on the speaker, and it's like wind and chains and stuff. And hey, you guys hear that? Hey, what's that? Just like
so good.
So good. And so there was a lot of laughter and love on that team, but like you also had Paul Goldschmidt leading the way as far as we work hard. Kirk Gibson was a great first manager to have. I mean, he wasn't long for that job in Arizona, but what a guy. I mean, you never knew. You get on the bus and he'd have a neck brace on, and you're like, "What's going on there?" And he's like, football injury, flared up or something. And so you never knew with him, but obviously an ultimate competitor, and that rubbed off on us because you could tell he hated losing.
He did. Yeah, that was such a fun group to be around.
It was Aaron Hill and Chavez and JJ Putz and David Hernandez. Like it was a great, really fun. Like Patrick Corbin was a young stud on that team. And then you throw like Miguel Montero into the mix, and like Miggy's great. If you love talking about Miguel Montero, you guys get along really well, man.
You know what though? Like I have. It was a fun group. That was obviously a terrible year results wise in the big leagues, but there were things. We won in 11, where we just saw timing was right. We had the kind of right mix, and KT made some nice moves to supplement that team. But all the while, you saw in 11, 12, 13 that group coming up together that you referenced, right? CO and Pollock and Goldie and Matt Davidson was on the team at the time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They had Patrick Corbin, Trevor Bauer, Tyler Skaggs. I mean, that the minor league teams in Mobile were unreal.
When I first got there, I think the first rotation at Mobile was Corbin, Skaggs, Jared Parker, Trevor Bauer, Charles Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, no kidding, we're going to go win.
Yeah, right. Miley was in there at one point.
And when I got drafted in 11, basically like going rookie ball was rookie ball, but then I got sent up to Visalia to high A and then to double A. And everywhere I went, I was basically following the legend of Paul Goldschmidt. Like everywhere. Gosh, Goldie's just the best. And then by the time I made it to Visalia, he just got called up to the big leagues, and then he hit a home run. We were watching it live in Visalia.
He was. I've told this story before about Mobile. I mean, that not just the pitching staff on that team, but you had Goldie, you had Pollock, you had Matt Davidson. I mean, you had multiple position player big leaguers. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple guys. Jake Land was,
we even had people like Taylor Harbin or Ed Easley was catching, and even though Ed didn't make it there, what a great leader! Like
really good organizational player.
Yeah, great. Yeah, he would have been an all-time great backup career catcher in the big league.
And you hit a good point with Gibby and Tram. I'll always appreciate my time with those guys, and you referenced 14. And Gibby wasn't long for that role, and he gets let go at the end of the year with 3 games, 1 series left to go, a home series.
Yep.
And Tram's his bench coach and his best friend, and he was asked to manage that team for the last 3 games of the year when his best friend just got fired. And I know a lot of guys would just say, "Screw that, I'm going." I know I'm next, so I'm going. Right? And Tram being Tram, he said yes. He handled it with class. He managed that team for the last 3 games of the year. I shouldn't have been surprised, but it was just really impressive, to see people
you're right.
handle it the right way.
No touch of class should surprise you from Alan Trammell.
Yeah, right.
I also had the Ryan Braun incident in that year in 14, and that was also a welcome to the big leagues moment. No,
that wasn't the same trip, was it?
No, that was when 3 months later they come to us. And I'm doing great at the time. I think I've given up 1 run in my first 2 months. It's going really well. Mm-hmm. And it's baseball polices itself, and I'm a huge proponent of that and a believer in that. And we just got into that situation where we got clipped the night before, and I just remember specifically, whoever they put in to even it up that game couldn't get it done, and the entire pitching staff gets called into Kirk Gibson's office after the game with KT, and it's loud. And it's just and because you couldn't, get this done, here's your ticket to AAA. And he got sent down. I'm like, damn, if it's me, I'm smoking somebody because I just do not want to go back to AAA.
Yeah.
And, I told my wife the story, and she's just like, it's going to be you, isn't it? And I'm like, sure feels that way, honey.
Yeah.
And it's baseball. You do it the right way. You hit them in the leg, you hit them in the butt. Nobody is going to get upset about that unless it's happened all the time. But yeah, it's 2 outs and Braun's up third when I come in and a 2-1, we're winning, and we probably already had 75 losses at that point. But he said, hey. You shouldn't, but if you get to him, you hit him. I don't care what happens. It's gotta happen. And infield single, broken bat single, got second and third, and I look over at Gibson, and he's just basically, I'm like, all right, I got it. We're going. And it's funny to laugh about now. I mean, I threw the first one right behind him. It was basically the same pitch twice, but he went in towards the plate, so it goes behind him. Hits off the backstop, comes right back to Tuffy. No movement. Nobody goes anywhere. And so then Ted Barrett walked the baseball out to me, right? And it told Tuffy to stay at home plate and walked the baseball out to me and gets in my face. And, hey, what happened there? And I told him it slipped. And, it's one of those funny things. I've joked with him in the past, and I'm like, Ted, what if I had just been like, Teddy, I tried to get him. I missed. I'll get him right here. I'll keep him below the belt. He just starts laughing, and he's like, well, I probably would have let you do it, but theoretically, I'm supposed to eject you the second you say something like that. It's like, well, I promise no one's ever tried to tell the umpire, hey, I'll get him right here. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So I get him on the next pitch, just right in the butt, right where it should be. I get ejected. And it's funny. It's supposed to be a unintentional, but Kirk Gibson's standing outside the dugout like this, like waiting to high five me and attaboy me as I go by. And I'm like, well, there goes my appeal. Because whatever's coming, that's going to be the first thing they show. And so I get ejected and I'm in the club. I don't even know what to do, right? I'm in the dugout, like waiting to see what happens next. And it's like, oh, you got to go inside, man.
You got to
they bring in Ziegler. And Lucroy hits the first ball like 900 feet to dead center. And so those 3 runs get brought in. My first career loss in the big leagues. And then I get, I kind of got
first win and first loss against the Brewers.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And so, I get to the 2 days before, a guy, I want to say for the Rockies, hit somebody up high on purpose, and he got like a 3-game and a $10,000 fine or something. And so that was what was coming down the pipeline to me. And Tony had just hired on as baseball ops or the president of baseball or whatever. And Joe Torre was the enforcer for MLB at the time. So he called Joe, said, "Hey, Joe, hit him in the wallet. No big deal, right?" And so my suspension, all that got dropped to a $1,000 fine or something. And the next time we got on a plane, 10 hundreds dropped in my chair, and I got like "you'll be on this team the rest of the year. Don't even worry about it" kind of thing. And so that was like absolutely worth it. Yeah.
Well, there you go, man. Dude,
that's folks of Milwaukee wanted me dead.
I was going to say, so is that's what your nerves like? I assume it's the first time you've been asked to do that at the big leagues, and you're doing it in a hostile ballpark to a superstar, right? So what are the nerves like at that point?
I mean, after I missed the first time, it's like, man, if I don't do it here on second pitch, I'm taking the old express flight out of town. So, and to Ryan's credit, I'm sure he could have gotten out of the way the second time. Instead of dodging, he just turned and hit him. He took his base. And I played with Ricky Weeks later, who was on that Milwaukee team, and he found me, and I didn't even have to introduce myself. He's like, "I remember," and I was just like, "What'd you think about that?" He's like, "Well, Braun is what Braun is, but from our angle, that was about the funniest thing we've ever seen." Because at that moment for us, at a 100-loss team, some things matter.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, at that point, all you've got is moral victories, right? Not surprising at all about the sort of reception you got on the plane after. Yeah. That's something that applies to everything, right? Like at the end of the day, you gotta have your teammates back, whether it's on the field or not. And everybody can say, "Oh, I got your back, dude. I got your back." And I remember I had a conversation with Brian Snicker years ago, and he's like, "Yeah, man, everybody likes to say they got your back. They got your back. Like, if you've really got somebody's back, you don't really have to tell them. They know you've got their back, right? Yeah. It's usually the guys that are puffed up about it that are like the last ones to kind of jog in slow from the bullpen when the dust up happens.
Man, those dust ups. I've been in one when I got to Double-A. Let's see, the next year in 12, Alfredo Marte. Yeah. Decent prospect at the time, hitting the ball pretty well. The Brewers had their top prospect in the organization on the mound, and Marte took him deep in the first, hits a double off him in the third. Guy hits him in like the sixth, hits him again in the seventh, and Marte dropped his bat and went straight out there. And that was an actual melee. Yeah. Right. And the bullpens aren't that far away in Mobile. So you're like,
I think I remember seeing the footage of that one on video.
Yeah, he just set his stuff down and went straight to the mound. It was as good as anything I've ever seen. In the big leagues, I've cleared, we cleared probably 10 times in my career. And it was always just a standoff.
Yeah. Just pushing and shoving. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we did it with the Giants a lot. And you always just had whoever the biggest guy on our team was standing in the middle with Bumgarner, like, or like they've got a hand on each other.
This isn't going to happen, is it?
Are we doing it? Like, and then it would diffuse, and they'd kind of be like, "We good?" And I'll see you later.
So you came up with the Diamondbacks, talked a lot about that, the people that you were around. Yeah. I mean, you had the opportunity to go play for multiple organizations, right? Four or five teams from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was it? I had the head injury in 15, come back, in 16, and I'm physically able in 16, but emotionally was still riding a roller coaster.
So let's pause on that because I want to obviously get to that, right? Like you get a traumatic brain injury, you get smoked with the line drive. Like, just walk me through that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it starts by getting sent down. I'm the youngest guy in the bullpen in the big leagues, but I've got about a 4.5, right? So it's not going as well. It had started to improve because I had like a 6.5 at the when the year started. And so I get sent down to AAA. I get sent down to AAA after like back-to-back 12-inning games because I'm the only one that had options. And hey, it's just 10 days. You'll be right back. And I went down to AAA disgruntled and pissed and absolutely got my teeth kicked in during those 10 days. I gave up 12 runs in 4 outings or something. And 10 days are up, and I'm like, where's my call?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Well, they're like, are you kidding? You should be just worried about not going to AA. And so had to reset the mindset and get back to work. And then I finally kind of figured it out. I had a scoreless July, basically. And then I got hit on August 4th. So I'm basically ready to go back.
So where was the switch for you? You were scuffling. Was it just the afterbat, the blowback of like, I'm just pissed I shouldn't be in AAA. I'm a big leaguer. And I
I was just throwing it once I got sent down, and almost like showcase your pitches kind of stuff.
Got it.
And not much approach, not much plan. And so I really had to get back into competing and pitching, not just trying to put a radar gun number up or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
So I had figured it out just by dialing back into pitching and all the basics on how to survive. And it's going well, and I'm coming in. We're in El Paso. And like I said, it's going really well. Going out to pitch, get called in for like the 8th or something. And 2 quick outs, 2 quick strikes on the third guy, and 95 with a little of this going in, and 107 coming right back at me. And it's one of those things you kind of wish you couldn't remember all of the detail, but I honestly can. I can remember it all. And
really.
I threw it in there, and it was just down and away, good spot, and the lefty just dropped the barrel on it and just shoots back at me. And I tried to go this way, and it just came right between my shoulder and my glove and smokes me in the temple. And it hurt a lot. But pain is pain. You can deal with pain. But the scary part was I couldn't hear. My ears were ringing so loud that, was it Joe Metz? The Joe Metz gets to the mound. He was the trainer. And he's talking to me, and I'm reading lips at that point. I cannot understand a single thing. I can't hear anything except for that high-pitched, ringing sound. And, it hit me so hard, it ricocheted all the way to first base for a 1-3 putout to end the inning, which I thought, poetic justice.
Right.
So I get smoked. By the time I get up with help and head off the field and get to the dugout, I'm starting to dry heave at that point. So the concussion symptoms are starting to show up.
Yeah.
Never had a concussion before, never had a head injury before, besides your typical bang your head when you're little. And I get stretchered, and I'm starting to dry heave some more and get sick. About halfway to the hospital, or at least what I assume was halfway to the hospital, is just it goes black. My memory just goes straight black. And according to them, I never lost consciousness, but I just don't remember a thing. So I have this spider web fracture pattern, but my skull is closed still. My skull didn't pop open. It's just damaged. Okay. So I'm bleeding internally. I have a subdural hematoma happening. And there's only so much room inside of a skull. And when you add fluid, it builds pressure. Once you hit a certain pressure number, you're killing brain cells. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to that that number, that threshold. Surgery is to drill 3 holes through your skull and put in drain tubes to allow the pressure out because your brain is swelling and there's fluid. So I have holes and drainage tubes, and surgery is a success, and I am in the recovery room, but I won't wake up. That's the scary thing in head injuries when you have to do surgery and stuff is the chances of a coma happening or going into a coma are significantly higher. And so the Diamondbacks put Allie on a private jet right away and got her to Texas because, everything pointed to her coming over to say goodbye, basically. And we had just gotten a puppy at like the All-Star break the year before, which was silly. I'd been a big leaguer for like a month or two, and Wade Miley went and bought a dog on the All-Star break because he was bored. Me and Allie went and did the same thing. And great decision, bad decision, but great decision.
Yeah.
And so she's flying to Texas with Butters, our dog, because she has nothing she can do with Butters, and brings Butters to the hospital, and they're trying to kind of keep the dog outside and stuff. And so I'm through surgery, and the surgeon calls in Nevin just to see if his voice will wake me up a little or get me to my eyes to open. And so no effect. And then the surgeon calls in Allie. Allie comes in, talks to me, gets my eyes to flutter just a little bit, really no reaction. And then the surgeon's kind of looking for answers, and he calls in, he says, bring the dog in.
Give me Butters.
And bring in Butters. And so Butters is all of 10 pounds at the time and just white and fluffy. And Allie put him down on my chest. He got very excited that I was there. And just in this almost movie script moment, he like raises up and hits me right in the chest. And, obviously this is secondhand story told to me, but
sure.
My eyes open. And I remember just a flicker of my dog, my wife, and obviously the overhead lights.
Wow.
And I can remember that. And then I was awake from that point on, but I don't remember anything for like 48 hours. So I'm awake and healing. And what's funny is the first thing I can remember is Bob Gebhardt. For whatever reason, it's Bob Gebhardt. If Bob was in town, somebody got traded, somebody got a DUI, like something was going on.
Gibbs there to deal with it.
Exactly. And he's there to clean up the mess. And so the first thing I remember is Bob Gebhardt walking across my hospital window. Because whatever that was, seeing him like, fuck, am I getting cut? So,
can they do that?
So, yeah. Is this like, I'm like already thinking about.
You know what's amazing, dude? Is I didn't know that. I didn't know that piece. That Gibb was like your biggest cheerleader in the draft room. He was. Really? You were always his guy. We drafted Evan Marshall. He was like, "Oh, it's my guy. I love Evan Marshall."
Oh, that's great. He was tough with me, but he took great care of me.
He loves you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, great dude. So yeah, the first thing I remember is him. And yeah, so then it started a week of inpatient therapy in El Paso. And, at the time, you're not really sure. You have to take inventory of what's working and what's not. I couldn't walk. I had no balance. So the concussion symptoms having set in, a lot of headaches, and I couldn't stand. So those first few days after surgery, he was just laying on my back. And then they got to get you out of bed and so I basically had to have a crane, an overhead support to a weight belt that I had on to provide some lift so that I wouldn't topple and go over. And like nothing ever happened where like the lights started to go out with my blood pressure going up trying to walk or anything. But I couldn't balance. I couldn't stand without just toppling. And so baby steps there. By the end of a week, I could walk. So the symptoms had subsided enough that I could walk, but slurring my words, some facial, like my smile was kind of crooked. It's stuff that you don't think about that your brain's dealing with.
Yeah.
And so I get discharged out of Texas and transported. My in-laws owe them a ton. They transported me to Barrow in Phoenix, which one of the top neurological hospitals in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Kwasniewka there wrote the book on concussions and treatments, and so I was very fortunate to be in her care. I butt heads with her all the time on the timeline of this stuff because I was like, I got hit in August and I'm like, I need to be a September call up, right? Like that's not at all realistic, but that was the time frame that I was pushing for.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I was lost as far as reality because I wasn't like I was worse off than I thought, but I still had 25 staples up the side of my head, and was basically wasn't independently living. I needed help from a nurse basically, but then I'm also like, yeah, but I'm a pitcher.
But I'm gonna pitch in September.
This is great. Like we can, after the game, I'll come back here and check back in, like work release. But,
right.
like Mark Grace's work release.
No comment on that one.
All-time great guy also.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so I'm in these therapies, and I'm not a good patient. I'm honestly not, because I'm not patient, and it's my way or the highway. And finally, what got me to buy into all of this was progress. I can do this. So they finally said, do it, show me. And I would stumble, or I would go do math problems and I would get them wrong, or add a subtraction problem, or I was just flying through stuff. But I had like a learning disability, essentially, an attention disorder.
Right.
And so I had to be proven that I had a problem to understand that I needed this stuff. And so that's where my buy-in came from, was they basically said, you think you're fine, show me. I'd fall, and then, okay, maybe I do need to do this stuff. It started out with, all right, we're going to stand on one foot and count to 10. It started out as basic as that. And what I found was every time that I would succeed, the next day they'd take it 10% further. And so I could stand on one foot. All right, now stand on one foot and we're going to say the alphabet. I couldn't even get sounds to come out because my brain was so focused on the balance, I couldn't multitask at all.
Interesting.
And, mumbling for a day or two, and then all of a sudden, and the letters are starting to clear up and come out. All right, now every time you say a letter, I need you to tell me a food that starts with that letter, right? And so every time it would just go further and further and further. And I was bought in at that point because I could not get words to come out. So they explained it. Look, your brain only has so much power and you're using all of it to focus on this. So don't feel bad. It will get better. But this is why we're doing this. This is why you're here. So then I could start to say animals. Then it would be tell me a food, or stand on one foot in front of this touch screen and the letters of the alphabet are moving and you need to find them in order, and I'm going to yell out something and you got to say it starting with that letter, right? And then stand on a Bosu ball and we're going to throw beanbags to you at the same time, right? So every time that I found some form of success, they would divert my attention in another direction in addition to what I was already doing. And so by the end, I jokingly say that I got smarter throughout the process. It is I hands down did, because the entire time was brain games. It was like studying for the ACT. Mm-hmm. And so I came away from that, like, my processing power was off the charts. I'm solving puzzles. Hey, here's 9 numbers I'm going to give you. Read them back to me in smallest to largest. So I could do this stuff where I was organizing information in my head and visually could see it and say it back. So I genuinely say that I got smarter during the process, but would have loved to avoid it all. But
right. Well, it sounds like you retrained your brain literally.
Essentially. Since then, I've found value in keeping up with those types of things and engage your brain in that way, just because I think it keeps you sharp.
Sure.
And so I'm getting back. I'm physically able. I'm doing towel drills. I'm doing push-ups. I'm working out again. I'm discharged out of Barrow and going 5 days a week outpatient. My wife's driving me because I'm not cleared to drive a vehicle yet. And yeah, it gets better and better and better. In September, I got to go to the field and do a couple interviews and like take the lineup card out, which was cool. Just to be out there. I was touched that they thought of me like that. That was very cool. And yeah, so then I'm back in therapy. I got to go home for December, basically, for just the get away and reset. And that was good for me. Came back ready to work, but as physically ready as I was, because now I'm throwing and long tossing and it's all back. The emotional side of it was something that I wasn't really prepared for, because I'm emotionally tough and as strong as it gets. And, I still was flinching for a long time. Balls coming back at me, whether it was catch or being hit off the bat. And so, the D-backs desensitized me by taking tennis balls or safety softs and, hey, go stand against the fence and we're just going to ease our way into this. And by the end, I'm catching balls and it goes back to muscle memory. But, for at least a whole year, at least all of 16, every ball hit within 10 feet of the mound. I'm getting out of the way.
Yeah,
and sure. I couldn't in that split second instant. You can't tell yourself not to do it. It's just reaction. And
then you've got the aftermath of that, right? Like then you start thinking about the reaction that you just had, and that's how the reaction. So it snowballs, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, damn, I thought I was past that, but here I am.
Right.
And so 16 was tough because I was fighting several fights at the same time. Which was complicated. And, I probably needed stability over everything else, just something stable that I could just lean on. And I just didn't get that. I went up and down like 7 times and wore myself out, where I just didn't want to be a baseball player at the time anymore. And I don't go up for September, and I just went home and got as far away as I could. And, started to watch a little bit on TV, maybe like a good playoffs game or something, and that sort of sucked me back in.
Were you considering walking away at that point?
I wouldn't say walking away, but I just knew that because I didn't have like a what's next plan. I didn't know what the hell am I going to do with my life. I haven't established a avenue for a second career or even finished my degree yet. Yeah. So the dream of, all the money and baseball and stardom and all that's still there. And I knew that I at least wanted to give it, my full attention still. So I never considered hanging them up just because I didn't know what to do next. But I knew that there were plenty of times where I didn't want to be where I was in the situation that I was in, just because it hurt.
Yeah.
And, so I get away from baseball and I come back and, I have a good camp. I'm probably the odd man out in 17, and I get traded or designated and claimed something to Seattle, which was Mel Stoudemire had gone there to be the pitching coach. So DePoto and Mel and they brought me over, and it's going really well. It was my fresh start, new organization, put all that stuff behind me. And it's going well. It's a good team. It's Nelson Cruz and Robinson Cano and Gene Segura, and Edwin Diaz was closing on that team. And so a lot of star power, Felix Hernandez too. And as just baseball happens, I tear my hamstring off the bone basically a month into the year, and then I go miss 3.5 more months and finish September strong. But now I'm a free agent, and I made it back from the injuries, and I go play winter ball in Mexico, and that basically that was my first time in free agency. So then I signed a minor league deal with Cleveland and have a great camp, but that's a good team, right? Like that's the only reason I signed in Cleveland was because I thought they were going to be good, but they just lost Brian Shaw and Joe Smith to free agency. So I thought opportunity for a righty, and it was there. But they had 40-man problems and stuff, all the same stuff you hear. So go down, do your job, we'll get you up here. And the one thing about being in Cleveland like I knew Bauer from when I got drafted with Trevor.
Mhm.
And he started that movement in Cleveland of like all the pitchers watch the bullpens, because he's out there with the iPad and he's telling Corey Kluber, if you turn your grip just a little bit, your slider efficiency is going to go up. And that's a Cy Young winner 2 times over already. And he's listening to Trevor Bauer.
Mhm.
And like, to Trevor's credit, you can love him, you can hate him. He's one of the smartest people that have ever been in baseball. And he didn't have necessarily a slider that he was proud of. So he just went and took all the data from Kluber's slider and he replicated it the offseason and learned how to make it spin that way at that rate. And then that was his best pitch. And that's pretty much what Trevor was like. And he would actually make everyone around him better. And so I got better by learning how to tunnel. He's the one who introduced me to, like, if you throw a 4-seamer here and you throw a curveball through the same slot and then it breaks, they've already commit to a swing And so I learned why my changeup was successful was because it was spinning on the same axis as my sinker. And so the hitters had to do the which one is it game.
Yep.
And that probably kick-started the good run I had with the White Sox. Was it started in AAA with Cleveland. And then, I get signed with the White Sox the next year, basically have a scoreless camp, don't make the team, have a scoreless April, get called up like May 1st, and then I stayed scoreless all the way into like late June or something. I was on a crazy run. It didn't matter who I was facing, righties, lefties, the splits. It did not matter. If they put me in, I was going to get a 0. It was awesome. And so then, I'm setting up there. That team also is a 100-loss team, but Chicago's a great city, and I'm successful again, and that feels great. And then, then I make it through that, and it's time to go to arbitration 1. And I agreed. You go through the process of them telling you how much you suck, and you saying, come on, guys.
Did you go to a hearing or go to a hearing? Or is this just negotiations? Okay.
No, just the negotiations. And it's not that they said, hey, you suck. It's that, hey, here's your comp that we see for you. And it's the mop-up guy in Oakland that's making $800K or something. You're like, damn. I was having a good morning, and here I am.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, you do the back and forth and no hearings, because honestly, I don't think it would be worth it for me to go to a hearing. And I think I agreed at like 1-1 or something. So huge bump in pay for me. So happy just to be there, because it took me 6 years to get my 3 years. And COVID hits. And so now I'm, camp shuts down in 2020, and I'm at home throwing live BPs with a high school team, basically. And, because, all this media stuff about the millionaires are greedy and won't take a pay cut and all this stuff. And so we, the deal ended up being, just prorate, which is they were entitled to give us that. We were entitled to ask for that. And that's where it worked out. So my 1-1 was going to turn into like 490, something like that, let's say. Mm. Then if you were a contracted player, not a rookie deal, none of that. So since I had an ARB deal, they fronted me like $289K to pay your bills during the COVID shutdown. Awesome.
Club did, or the union did?
No, the club did. The White Sox did.
Okay.
But when the season started back up again for August and September, you had to earn that money first before then your paychecks kicked in after that. So I didn't actually collect a paycheck in that COVID season until the very last one. I got a paycheck for like $3,000.
Oh man, I didn't realize that.
So so it changed things. You finally get to the better pay to then have it taken away. But while I certainly deserve to be in the big leagues and I'm pitching really well, there's always that thought in the back of your head that maybe you're fooling them and you're a fraud, and let's hurry up and get paid before you're found out.
Hey, real quick, if you're getting value from the show, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, and if you're so inclined, go ahead and leave a 5-star review while you're at it. It helps more people like you find this podcast, and honestly, that simple form of support, it makes a difference. All right, back to the conversation.
And so I have that good, like COVID was good for me. Yes, I lost some of that money, but the next year was only 2 months and it was going to count for a full year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can just fool them for 2 months, go into ARB2, you've set yourself up well. And I think I gave up a run or two in my first outing, and then I just went on a pretty good run and ended up with like a 2-2 at year end. And that extrapolates out to a very good year as a reliever.
Yeah.
And so then 2-2 earned me a raise in pay and stuff. And arbitration was much easier that go around. And then, life happens and blow my elbow out and try to rehab it in 21. And it just wasn't working. So I'm sitting there thinking, I've got ARB3 waiting. How about us and the White Sox? We'll tear up ARB3, do like a couple year extension, make it for minimum, and then performance based, incentive. And they were just like, here's your minor league deal. And so they offered to rehab me off the 40-man at the facility. I had a good setup in Wichita as far as where I could do rehab and stuff. So I thought maybe I'll just be home and be a dad. I had have two boys, but my youngest had kind of just been born. And it was a good opportunity for me to get to do the little baby stuff. And so I had a great time doing that. Andrews did my surgery, and I rehabbed at home. And, I was coached either direction, hey, stay with the baseball teams, stay at a complex, keep working out, supervise, or go home if you have a great setup and be a family person and stuff. And I chose to do that. And I made it back pretty quick from the TJ. And
how much did your experience going through your injury shape your decision to go do it at home instead of staying with the team?
I don't know if it was necessarily my injury that shaped that decision. I just had this vision of like, I'm going to play golf 4 days a week and be with my family and go to rehab and get my workouts done. That's kind of this vision I had for my stay at home.
I asked because you said like the typical athlete mentality post injury, right? It's like, all right, I'm good. Let me get back out there. And then you can't even stand up. Right. So that you've got this like unrealistic alpha achieving mindset. Yeah. And then, you almost die, right? You have an injury that could have killed you. You've got a young family. And so, clearly it's like the ultimate perspective shifter of what's going on. I remember I was seeing it on TV. I left Arizona at that point. I was with Atlanta. And I saw it on TV. I was horrified. And I get goosebumps thinking about it, just seeing the whole thing. Right. I'm like, oh my God.
It was terrifying. And it's happened to other people since.
Right.
Like I remember Zombro with Tampa when that happened, and like, they're all different, but they all are kind of the same, right? And so fortunately, I was able to make it back. Not everybody does, and so, my choice to rehab at home was probably just I was sick of baseball. After the White Sox kind of going to the minor league side and saying, "Hey, we'll rehab you down here," I thought I had earned the right to at least have that conversation. And so I sort of was kind of, screw it, I'll go home. So I did it at home, and I still love that just for the time I had with my family. And I come back from it. Let's see, 2022 was TJ. So I come back in 23, and I'm training for showcases to go throw in, let's say, like February, just to show teams and sign and go right to camp with somebody. And I'm working out for that and popping the elbow. And so that was my flexor tendon tearing for the first time. So, I get a PRP shot and they're like, you gotta rest for 6 weeks. And so my showcase stuff was gone. I want to say like March 10th or something like that. Nevin calls me and was like, we'll sign you now and you can come finish your rehab with the Angels and then we'll get you out on the field. And so that's a great offer to have. So I sign, I go to Tempe and pretty much just started the rehab process. And it was like beating your head against a wall because every time I got close to that 90 number, I'd get a jolt in my elbow and it would have popped somewhere else. And then I'd shut down for a month, build back up for a month, throwing hard again, get near the 90 mark. And so finally, by like the middle of September, right, it's gone the whole year. And it's the middle of September and I'm throwing hard again. I'm 92, 95, just in the pen, like letting it rip. And they're like, there's 2 weeks left in the year. I mean, we're not going to make this big procedural move. We're glad you're healthy. It's time to go home, handshakes and see you later. Because they honestly could have kicked me out months ago.
Sure.
And probably should have, but it was a favor for Nevin, without a doubt. Plus, I was being impactful with the 17 and 18 and 19-year-olds that were there. They liked having me around. And so I tried to pitch in that aspect just so they'd see some value and keep me around. But yeah, so I finished 23 healthy training. I'm talking to teams, and December just big old pop again. And so I go get it looked at, and I'm like, this was worse than the ones before. And it's the same thing, flexor tendon, but this is more like 6 months of shutdown and therapy, and then you're going to come back from that. And I'm like, 6 months just for the chance to try and sign a minor league deal.
Yeah.
And so, that was the time to make the tough decision. And it took lots of talking to, my wife and family and what am I going to do next? And I didn't have any of those answers. And, but I retired and that was that. And, so then I went into, obviously all I've ever known is baseball, and I didn't want to be an agent. I'm good.
Pause there, because didn't you go back and get your degree while you were still playing?
Yeah. So Kansas State has a wonderful program for helping student athletes finish. Even, whenever you come back to K-State, they'll honor the scholarship you had from like a special fund they have to help you graduate.
That's
so
awesome.
I had MLB money put aside, but as time goes, tuition now costs more than what they put aside.
Right.
And so there'd always be a balance, and K-State would just wipe it zero, it was the best. I couldn't have done it without them. It was incredible. And so I basically was taking my classes online, 1 or 2 at a time. And I still had, it took me 5 years to do it. I probably, let's say in a 10-year career, had 5 years of I'll never need this. And then 5 years of, well, maybe we should start to consider.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking class in the mornings on my computer and taking tests being watched by my webcam. And I 1 or 2 at a time was able to just get through it. I had to retake classes that I got D's in while I was actually there. It took until spring of 21. I finally took my last class and passed. And they interviewed my parents. They interviewed Allie. They sent the K-State sent a video with my parents and stuff to the White Sox, which played during like batting practice. That was my graduation ceremony. So that was fun. It was cool, first one in my family. And so that's great. That was outstanding, and it wasn't like a general studies or a history degree. I got a business management degree with a minor in marketing. So hopefully that's applicable somewhere, and so I get my degree and have the piece of paper. So very proud of that. That was cool.
What are you most proud of in your career? Is that it?
I'm very proud that I got my degree, but playing career-wise, most proud. I mean, you're proud just to have gotten there. You're proud just to have had the experience. I racked up strikeouts, and I never got a save. That was the one thing that I was chasing.
Really? I didn't know that.
I had plenty of blown, because, you can blow a save in the 7th inning.
Yeah, right. I would have placed money. You got a big league save. I'm surprised.
Yeah. And, I had chances to do it. But, like, when I got to Chicago, I was having, like, 1, 2, 3 innings on 7 pitches. So I was available every day. And so...
Well, you got to win games to get saves, too.
Exactly.
Right?
So if I was in the 8th and I had a 1, 2, 3 and it's a 3-run game and we scored 6 and I could have gone back out to go get a save, they'd be like, nope, tomorrow.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So yeah, it's in the. I never got one. Had chances, but again, some of those decisions are out of your control. So I regret it, but again, it wasn't.
Yeah, right. So you wind down your playing career. You graduate while you're playing. You wind down, right? You decide what you're going to do when you grow up. You know, what did you take with you, right? Because all you've ever known is baseball. It's all you've done your whole life. You went through a ton of adversity. I mean, take the catastrophic injury out of it. You know, the toll that you have to go through just for the arm injuries is significant, right? So, like, what habits or disciplines from your days playing did you take with you as you made this transition to the next career you're going to make?
Yeah, I mean, while I had the talent and the skills, I had never looked at it from a business perspective of what was applicable, what was going to help, right? So I had some friends. I work at IMA, and I had some friends that also work at IMA that I met at the golf course while I was still playing, and they just said, this might be a great deal for you. It's a lot of networking and relationship developing and just being able to talk to people. And so you get done with baseball, you consider your options. You know, do I want to be a rookie ball pitching coach? Do I want to write reports in the basement for the front office to try to get boosted up to that? And both things that I would be good at. Like, I'm a good coach because I failed my career. I failed upwards, essentially. I learned how to fix problems by failing at it and fixing it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And, you know, I talked to Getz in Chicago or, you know, Dan Carlson in Arizona. And it's just like, you know, you're signing up for twice the hours and a fraction of the pay as when you were a player. And it was basically, do I want to be gone for 10 months of the year again? Or do I want to sleep in my own bed and find something that checks all the boxes in Wichita? And so, you know, you look at these options and then you say, well, I can definitely make a little more money and be present at home. And that was the only sure thing I had in my hand was from IMA, that there was a base pay option, right? So all these businesses, if you're going into sales, you're going into whatever, you're going to keep what you kill. You're going to make commission off your sales. And I didn't have a clue what anybody was talking about when it came to that stuff. So I needed like some base pay,
some security,
to allow me to learn and take class and understand what I needed to be doing. And that's what IMA provided. They gave me a base pay to pay my bills while I take class and learn. And then, you know, the comp structure transitions off to, you know, making money off your book eventually.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm very grateful for IMA for the opportunity that they've provided. I mean, I work in insurance and I can have that conversation now, but like I didn't know what a deductible was till I was like 28, right? Like it was just, I had no reason to understand the world of insurance.
Right.
And so, you know, now I work a lot with sports and entertainment, and I call on people like yourself that we cross paths that have the life has led them to other avenues. And I still talk with pro franchises and risk managers for, you know, teams in the big leagues. And that sports and entertainment avenue has kind of opened up. It's not just baseball, it's golf and you know, NBA and NHL and all the things that I actually am good at talking about. I just get with business development people in these franchises and just find ways to, I don't know, find some synergies whether it's employee benefits or work comp or any liability stuff where I get to cross paths with pro sports again and get to do my job at the same time. So
even without like the base knowledge when you started, right? The sales, business development, right? You can't be afraid of failure, right? And you touched on that where that's why so many organizations seek out ex-athletes for those specific roles, right? Because you gotta be aggressive sometimes. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to be like, okay, that person just told me to pound sand. I got to move on and go talk to somebody else. And not everybody's wired that way, right? You obviously, just being an athlete, I think most folks, not all, but a lot of folks are sort of predisposed to be able to like bounce back from that. But you especially.
There were some executives in this company that just sat me down and just said, look, you made it to the big leagues because you're resilient, because you're dedicated, because you have your process that you know you have to do in order to get, you know, successful results. The same stuff applies. You just have to fill in the blanks with what the new process is.
Yep.
And But there's also a difference between somebody telling you that you can do it and then actually doing it. And so,
well, it's probably akin to, getting to the big leagues and standing big leagues, right? You said you were there for a couple of years and you still had a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Am I fooling?
100%. And so,
right?
I'd never done cold calling. I never made sales calls before. I sold what my body could physically do. Like I didn't have to do any of that stuff. And so, there's days where that damn phone feels heavy when you pick it up to go make cold calls because you're like, man, I just don't really want to do that.
I don't have it today. But yeah.
It's just a necessary part of life. I mean, I've been here for 14 months now, and there were times where I kind of hid from that, right? Like I'll double up my emailing or I'll go to these networking events just to avoid cold calling. and that's just a mental block. I mean, if I could email somebody and they say, oh, great, let's talk at noon today, we'll talk like we're long lost friends. But if I called the same person, the conversation would go significantly different if it started out without that warm intro. Yeah. And so I just had to figure out, you're good at this, just do it, cold call. And yeah, you get told to pound rocks, or I'm happy with what I've got, or how dare you call me. And again, that's the pro athlete stuff where you can kind of tunnel vision for the prize and everything else just bounces off. And so you get enough terrible things yelled at you out of the stands, in Queens. You play a game in the Bronx or in Queens and you're tough enough to do anything.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, it's a good metaphor for all of us, right? Like we're capable of doing so much more than we think we are. We just got to get, push ourselves outside the comfort zone. And that so can be harder.
What's been interesting is like, I want to work, in pro sports and stuff. And so like, I've talked with, Tony Clark about working with the PA or the Alumni Association and stuff. And like, I went to the Alumni Association event last year for career development and tip of the cap to the PAA, because it was a great event. I mean, the guest speakers were on point about their struggles. And it was honestly the first time I had heard anyone talk about the stuff that I was going through about what next, like, what do I do? And so that was reassuring to know, like, I wasn't alone in that struggle. And then, there was stuff there for development for resumes, and here's headshots, and we'll make professional connections for you, or somebody in medical device sales is here to talk, or somebody in insurance, or something, about avenues and coaching. And then they had like Derek Shelton and like Bud Black was there, and so they talked about what going into coaching is like. And, and so that event by itself really did help, just because it wasn't me. Like, it felt like I had a spotlight on me shining. Like, what's he going to do next? With this pressure on me that I was putting on myself, that obviously no one else was. And it was cool to get there just to hear, you had Mickey Janis there with 1 day of service time, and I was there with 6. And so everybody in there was entitled to these services and looking for how to connect and build and what do I do next. And so it was cool to not be the only one on my couch worried about this. I was in that group setting where
well, it's comforting, right? Because it's like, to your point, like, you feel like the weight of the world on your shoulders. And you feel like it's all this pressure to perform and produce and prove people wrong, or whatever the hell it is that you're trying to do. At the end of the day, you realize nobody cares, right? Like, and it's freeing that nobody cares. You can go out and you can do whatever the hell you want and, make it work for you, and they'll be happy for you, but they're not sitting there in judgment saying, I can't believe he's doing X, Y, or Z, and there's so many people in those shoes, sort of regardless of, forget former big leaguers. It's just like trying to figure out what they want to do with the career pivot, or, they got promoted and they're like, major imposter syndrome creeps in. It's like, just go figure it out. You'll be fine. You just got to put the work in.
Basically, you have to, you got to take that first haymaker sometimes just to get where you want to go to.
No doubt.
And the resilient stuff has helped. The bounce back, I respond well to the adversity of working, and it's been great because I'm at home. I pitch and coach for a high school this year. It was just my first chance to get into it, which was fun.
It's great.
Again, I knew I had failed my way to being a good coach. So I get with these kids in high school that haven't really had any upper level coaching, and the impact you have on them is very immediate.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was 3A, so a little bit smaller of a school, but we went in one state, which was a blast. And my 7-year-old was the bat boy, and he, that bro culture. I mean, it was great for him because, he's finding his way through the world, but it only took a few days, and he's like, "Sup, bro?" Giving me a nuts as he goes right past me to the back. He's got Pit Vipers on, going to the back of the bus, and the music turns on. I'm like, must be nice.
Dude, that's the dream. That's great.
So we win, and he's a part of all of it, and I get to throw him in the dog pile, and so that made my heart happy, and certainly all the time and effort you got to put in for coaching after work, basically. Made it all worth it, and made some good connections, and you go win the first state title, in a school history, and all of a sudden, hey, let me connect you to so and so at this company. That might be good, And so that's kind of one of those networking avenues that has helped. And
that's awesome.
The coaching was fun, and I think I'll just keep giving lessons and doing that in my spare time, and that's just enough to kind of satisfy.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's you have so much to offer on that front, and it's not in my mind at least, it's not the stuff that most people are going to think of. But hey, Evan's a former big league pitcher, like I can learn so much from him. Odds are 99.9% of the kids you work with, they're not going to be big leaguers, right? Yeah. So what else can you share with them that's going to help them the rest of your life? All the resilience, right? All the ability to bounce back from something that really, really hurts. All of sort of the self-doubt and posture, all these things that you've gone through in a very public sphere. That's the stuff that, like, they probably don't realize how lucky they have it. You can go, pick whatever name you want, just the best ever to do. There's not too many goats walking around out there that are coaching, right? Yeah, because you can do it, odds are you were just so naturally blessed that you can go do it, and you don't really think about it. You don't really know how you're doing it sometimes. You're just doing it.
It's the Randy Johnson problem.
Then it's when it's your turn to go teach that. We're like, what do you mean you're not 6'11" and throw 99? Like,
exactly. Like,
I can't teach you. Right?
What do you do when you get in a jam? And you're like, well, I throw a slider, and then I throw 100 past his head. You're like 100 right past his face.
Yeah, right.
I don't got that.
Right.
Or like, like Greg Maddux, same thing. Hey, Greg, what do you think I should do? I'm missing over the middle. I can't get my fastball to stick out there. But
don't miss.
Left. Just aim further left.
Throw it exactly where you want to throw it every single time.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
So,
although I think I'd learn more from Greg than I would from Randy. So.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's a lot there, and that's the thing that I'm biased in that direction. I geek out about it. Where all of these things that are part and parcel with sports. You're living it right now, right? You're 14 months into sort of your next career, and I have no doubt that every day you wake up and you approach certain things the same exact way as when you did you were playing, right? And they serve you well each and every day, and you're going to be working for decades more, right? And so, like, that's the piece that I think a lot of people lose sight of, whether it's youth sports or it's guys that are playing, they're trying to figure out what's next. Like, it's not who you are. I mean, it's what you do, and you do it better than 99.99% of the population. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, that day is going to come to an end, whether it's a day in or 20 years in. That's out of our control a lot of times. But there's so much good to be had there by sharing these stories, by you going through what you did. And you're sitting here talking about it from a completely fresh perspective now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the time. It was my entire life essentially to get me to the big leagues, and now looking back, even with the injuries and stuff, you don't trade a second of it. It was all incredible, and really not until later in my career did I become more of like a leader of men. Like, I wasn't captain material until I got a little further down the road, and that's just life experience teaches you stuff that matters to other people. So now I have something to share. And so, yeah, I was a captain, with the White Sox, and that was definitely more my speed, having a little bit of authority there, just because I've been there and done that. I've been called up and sent down every which way you can be. And so.
And who knows if that would have been the case had you got up and just cruised and just had nothing but success, right? Like you're probably a very different person at that point because it's
but that all that success sounds terrible, doesn't it?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All of that. So yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell.
That's good, man. That's good stuff. All right, let's end on some lighter-hearted stuff here.
Cool.
Who's the toughest hitter you faced in your career?
Buster Posey, Nelson Cruz. I face Buster Posey all the time, with Arizona, and I think he's like 4 for 7 off me or something, right? Like with a couple of walks. It's not like 10 for 12 but he'd always get on first base and then look at Goldschmidt and be like, I just never see the ball. I'm like, well, you still hit it. Like you're still owning me. It was always soft, but he always got on base, and he's a great guy, so it was hard to be mad at him.
Well, he owned a lot
Nelson
of guys.
Cruz. I faced Nelson Cruz. I played with him in Seattle, so I have a relationship with him. And then I face him when he's in Minnesota and I'm in Chicago. He hit a ball like 95, sinking down and in, and he inside outed it and just over the hitter's eye in dead center. And from that moment on, I put him on a pedestal like that's the greatest hitter I've ever seen. And I got him out. I got him out later in my life, but I also struck him. I also walked him on 4 pitches like the next 4 times I faced him. So he kind of had the mental edge on me.
When you see somebody do that, you throw your best pitch and you're like, nobody can. I mean, maybe they get a 19 hopper and it goes over the batter's eye. That'll do it to you.
Yeah.
If you could face any hitter in history, who would it be?
Barry Bonds.
Good.
I was a Giant growing up in the Bay. The biggest Barry Bonds guy. The last person to admit there might be something going on there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. What are you talking about? He had his, stigma, the way he acted with media. But like I saw him in a San Jose Sharks game, and he sat in the seat right behind me. He signed my program. We talked baseball. Like he was super.
How old were you then?
9.
Oh man.
Yeah, like
that must have been incredible.
Cool.
Come on.
It was, and I absolutely fucked the situation. Excuse me. I actually messed up the situation because all of a sudden people realize who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And there's no bigger figure in the Bay Area than Barry Bonds. And so then Barry Bonds had to leave.
Sorry, you got your autograph. He has your moment.
Exactly. I crossed paths with him. He was hitting coach in Miami and all that stuff. And never meet your heroes because they're never what you think, right?
Yeah, right.
But at that point in his life, even if you were a player, hey, can we take a photo? Can we do that?
Yeah.
He wouldn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That was. I would love to face Barry just to see, but I also think that's the best hitter to ever pick up a bat.
Yeah.
Hard to argue.
It's definitely in the conversation. Who are some of the best teammates you had? I mean, you had a really interesting career. Who are the guys that stand out to you?
Lance Lynn, number 1. Lance Lynn, when I played with him in Chicago, and I played with so many great guys, but Lance by himself, James McCann sort of the same way, but Lance is a 13-year vet at that point when I played with him in 2020 and 2021, or just 21. And, he's one of those last dying breeds of guys that get a suite on the road. And that's not for him. Like he would dinner in my room, everybody, pitching staff, everybody come on over, late nights, a movie, whatever. Lance Lynn was a really good leader. Not just because he'd been there and done that in so many different ways, but like Lance Lynn's ready to fight too. Like he's got everybody's back, like in an aggressive way if he has to. Absolutely one of the best I've ever played with. And James McCann deserves to be in that situation too, just from his leadership in the dugout and on the field. Off the field, he's got twins and a wonderful wife, so he's busy. But in the clubhouse, one of the all-time best. Jose Abreu, just one of the quietest, nicest players you ever played with, leads the league in RBIs, and just get on my level. Like he would take the Latins out to go run polls. Like he pushed that group of people if he thought they weren't holding up their end of the bargain. I thought that was great because whether you were Cuban or Latin or white or black or whatever, do what he's doing. I mean, and you'll be successful. And even though he couldn't communicate that well, like he'd put his arm around you and bring you with him. So
that's good stuff, man. That's a great lesson in leadership. Yeah,
I would take that guy on my team every day of the week.
Yeah, I know. Man, I appreciate you taking time here. I know you got, how old? Your oldest is 7, you said now?
7 and 3.5. Yep.
7 and 3. All right. So,
Yep.
you know, the 7-year-old is probably thinks it's pretty cool. His dad was a big leaguer, and
he
probably doesn't have full appreciation.
Yeah.
He does. Well, that's great, man. That's cool. And
so my youngest has only been to 1 game, and it was, or 2 games, and it was the home playoff games against Houston in 21. So those are the only games he's ever been to.
There you go. That's good stuff.
But he won't.
Well, what's one thing, you know, playing in the big leagues is one thing. He thinks that's cool. I don't think he's not expected to have appreciation for what you went through on that journey, right? I mean, what's one thing you would take and pass on to your son, coming out of, from the time you got drafted? I mean, forget that, the time you started playing high school sports to where you are now. I mean, there's a lot of lessons to give there.
Very early on, and it's my freshman year at K-State, my catcher was Rob Vaughn. Rob Vaughn is now the head coach for Alabama. Rob Vaughn used to call me at 5 in the morning in the off seasons and be like, "There's somebody rolling out of their cot right now to go get better. What are you doing?" And I'm like, I guess I'm getting up too, man. And so it takes people like that. And at the time you're like, this guy's being an a-hole, but really you need someone like that in your life. Mm-hmm. You need your person that's going to push you. And I just remember that life lesson, like, somebody is always trying to take your job, whether it's here in this office or out on the mound. And so if I could pass that along to my kids, that, don't wait for life to come to you, kind of go out and do it.
Go get it.
And take control of that. You can change the narrative if you actually are in there. But if you wait for life to come to you, you don't know what's going to come to you.
That's right.
So, and the lessons I learned about the physical development that I could have done in high school, but I didn't. I mean, I was a great high school baseball player, hitting third, pitching great, but I was 87 to 88 in high school. And I didn't lift. I didn't work out once. I just played baseball 4 days a week, and I was good. But I ate like crap. But I was just a good athlete. And then I got to K-State, 220 pounds, kind of soft, and I was 195 in 3 weeks. I threw up everything that ever came near me because I was running so much. And so I would have imposed more of if I could have learned that lesson in high school rather than when I showed up to boot camp in college, that would have helped. So that's something I'll definitely teach the kids. Yeah. So you need to get after it now.
I get it. Yeah. It makes it easier down the road, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, buddy. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story, man. There's a lot there. And it's been a lot of fun catching up with you too.
I absolutely appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of the No One Is Watching podcast. If you'd like to support the show, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share it with your friends. If you're interested in similar content focused on leadership, culture, and high performance, check out nooneiswatching.com. Your time is valuable, so I appreciate you spending some of it with me today. See you next time.